Hello, this is Susan Woods, your Black Lives Matter Fraud Investigator. Thank you so much for your time. It's been a little while since I posted a video. Nevertheless, I'm still on the case. Today, I'm continuing with the series, Why did the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation give $21.7 million to LGBTQIA organizations? And this is part 5 of a 6-part series. So let's get into it. Definitions. After some of my videos, people have asked me, what are the definitions of the letters that are in the acronym or the abbreviation? So here are the definitions that I found. L means lesbian. G means gay. B means bisexual. T means trans. Q means queer. I means intersex. And A means asexual. So those are the definitions for the letters in the LGBTQIA abbreviation. Now, in the past, I've talked about the 2020 Impact Fund report, where the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation administrators listed the organizations that received $21.7 million. Each organization did not receive that amount. That's the total amount that was divided among the organizations. I decided to create a 6-part series to describe or to introduce you to the organizations that received the money 5 at a time, because there were 30 organizations. We are on the 5th of the 6-part series. So here's the information that I'm going to show you later on that's included in the 2020 Impact Fund regarding these organizations. Then I'm going to go to each of the 5 organizations that are a part of our discussion today, the websites, so that you can see what they represent. And also to see if they have an earned 501c3 nonprofit status. Because in order for a foundation like the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation to donate money to other organizations, they should have an earned 501c3 nonprofit status. And if you've been following this series, you know that several times I've found that some of the organizations did not have an earned 501c3 status at all, or they may have been operating under another organization that did have a 501c3 nonprofit status, and that organization acted as its fiscal agent. So we're going to look into those 5 organizations that are part of the 5th of the 6-part series into this investigation. So here we are. In 2020, we, meaning the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation's founder, Patrice Khan Cullors, because she was the only person in charge in 2020, selected 30 local organizations, not part of our grassroots apparatus, to be our first cohort of official BLM GNF grantees, Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation grantees. As several communities were thrown into the heightened political, socioeconomic, and medical vulnerabilities through COVID-19, BLM GNF sought to ensure the survival of some of society's most vulnerable, Black LGBTQIA folks. Of the 30 organizations selected, 23 of them are led by Black LGBTQIA folks, and are directly serve these communities in places like Chicago, New York, New Jersey, DC, and Alabama. Our selected organizations are listed below. We have committed a 6-figure grant to each of these organizations. So that's the statement. In the first series, or the first part of the 6-part series, we talked about the Okra Project, TGI Justice Project, Tech Birmingham, Trans United, Audre Lorde Project, Trans Justice. That was in the first part. Part 2, we talked about the organizations Breakout, Black Trans Circles, BLMP, Solutions Not Punishment Coalition, and the Marsha P. Johnson Institute. In part 3, we talked about the Transgender District, Black Trans Travel Fund for the Girls, House of Gigi, and Highlander Center. Part 4, we talked about Bold, Eat Chicago, PANA, Africans Rising, and the Haitian Bridge Alliance. Now we're preparing to talk about the 5th part, which includes Trans Justice Funding Project, Trans Housing Coalition, Homeless Black Trans Women Fund, Black Trans Media, House of Pentacles, and the House of Tulip. So I'm going to go to each one of these organizations' website. We're going to look at the About tab, and we're going to look at determining whether or not they have an earned 501c3 nonprofit status. Again, this is part 5 of a 6-part series investigating why the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation gave $21.7 million to 30 organizations, divided it among 30 organizations. And we're on part 5 of 6. So I'm going to pause my screen just for a moment so that I can get to those websites that we're going to investigate today. Thank you for your patience. Okay, I'm going to resume my sharing now. Thanks again for your patience. And we're looking at the first one in the series, which is the Trans Justice Funding Project. So this is a website for the Trans Justice Funding Project. Okay, and I'm just going to scroll down just a little bit so you can see it. Look at the mission. It says TJFP moves money to trans-led grassroots group and projects with trust and no strings attached. We center trans justice in the U.S. and U.S. territories and honor and amplify the ways our communities organize, create, and shift culture, commit their love and care, and fight like hell for trans liberation. Our mission, a self-sustaining world where trans people can have the money and power we need to provide abundant resources and boundless support for our communities. So that's their mission and their vision. And they talk about who they are, and you can read this if you're interested to learn more about this organization. Okay. By the numbers, as of November 1st, 2022, you have 10 years of grant making, 22,177 grant applications received, 1,722 grants awarded, over 8.3 million in funds delivered, and 60 trans and non-binary panelists and fellows. So again, you can look at this information if you choose to learn more about the organization. But what I want to know is, when you click on the donate button, which is here, are they providing an EIN number where we can determine whether or not they have 501c3 nonprofit status, or do they transparently tell us that? So let's look. Please note, let me increase the size of this so you can read it. Okay. Please note, Your contribution to the Trans Justice Funding Project is not tax deductible. Okay, because many grassroots groups are not 501c3s and don't have fiscal sponsors, we've set up a new model to support these groups simply and directly. We think this model is an exciting opportunity to support grassroots organizing, but you can still make a tax-deductible donation to TJFP here via our collective action fund at the Tides Foundation if you prefer. Very interesting. So this organization, the Trans Justice Funding Project, does not have 501c3 status. But if you want to make a tax-deductible donation, you can make it with their fiscal sponsor, which is a collective action fund that's managed by the Tides Foundation. We've already talked about the Tides Foundation in other videos, so we know what that's all about. So the answer to the question is no, they do not have their own 501c3 nonprofit status. Okay. Next, we're going to go to the next organization. So I'm going to pause the sharing just for a moment to go to the next one, because this one, I talked about who they are, what their mission statement is, and we've learned that they do not have their own 501c3 nonprofit status. Instead, they have a fiscal sponsor in which they operate, and the fiscal sponsor is managed by the Tides Foundation. So let's move on to the next organization. Okay, the next organization that we're going to talk about in this part 5 of 6 series is the Trans Housing Coalition. The Trans Housing Coalition. So here's the homepage, and let's learn more about it. The Trans Housing Coalition, or THC, is an Atlanta-based trans-led and founded organization that began as a photography and grassroots crowdfunding project, the Homeless Black Trans Women Fund, aimed at getting chronically homeless Black trans women off the streets. THC utilizes a housing-first, person-centered approach to get trans folks into permanent affirmative housing. Okay, and here's more information about that. Our mission and vision. The mission, the Trans Housing Coalition helps Atlanta's chronically homeless transgender and gender nonconforming people move from the streets into long-term housing and onto the lives they want to lead. The vision, to end chronic homelessness and support a better life, a better quality of life for the trans and gender nonconforming community in the greater Atlanta area. Okay, so that's their mission and vision. Let's learn whether or not they have an earned 501c3 status. Because remember, the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation is supposed to donate money to organizations with an earned 501c3 nonprofit status. So let's see if they have that. Thank you for your interest in supporting the Trans Housing Coalition. THE is a 501c3 nonprofit organization in the state of Georgia. As such, gifts to the Trans Housing Coalition are tax deductible, and they show ways in which you can make a donation. Donate via PayPal, donate via GoFundMe, donate via check, donate via Cash App, all the ways that you can donate. Now, one very important thing that will make this page more powerful and will give it much more credibility is if they provided their EIN, the employer identification number, because that's a fast way for a potential investor to determine their 501c3 status or to confirm it. Now, they will go to the irs.gov website and confirm the status of the organization using the EIN. However, they can also confirm the status using the Trans Housing Coalition name. So if I were to go there now, I could verify whether or not this organization is a legitimate 501c3 nonprofit organization. But I'm not going to do that. I'm going to keep going. So I'm going to pause the share to move on to the next organization. Okay. Now, the next organization that we're going to take a look at is called the Black Trans Media. The Black Trans Media is another organization that received at least a 6-figure donation from the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. So let's see what the Black Trans Media is all about. Reframing the value and worth of Black trans people in New York City and beyond through arts, media, political education, and community power. So that's what they are about. Black Trans Media is a project based in Brooklyn, led by and for Black trans and gender nonconforming communities that work at the intersections of arts, media, education, and organizing to address racism and transphobia. We are creating a world where Black trans folks are uplifted in our communities and in control of our own narratives and futures. So that's what they are about. So let's look at their donate button to determine whether or not they haven't earned 501c3 nonprofit status. Donate now. Donate to support and sustain our work. Black Trans Media is a fiscally sponsored project of 501c3 Alliance for Global Justice. When you donate through the link, you will receive an email with your tax-deductible receipt. So, again, this organization, Black Trans Media, does not have 501c3 nonprofit status. Instead, they have a fiscal sponsor called Alliance for Global Justice. A fiscal sponsor is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that says, hey, we will manage the finances of your organization. You can tell people to donate money or ask people to donate money to your organization, but we, the fiscal sponsor, Alliance for Global Justice, will manage the money. You, Black Trans Media, will have to submit formal requests for the money that people intended for you, for your organization. We have to determine whether or not your request meets our requirements for distribution, because the Alliance for Global Justice is taking full responsibility for everything the Black Trans Media nonprofit does. It's not just a matter of managing money. They are managing and governing the operations of this organization. That's what fiscal sponsorship is. Fiscal sponsorship is a very serious endeavor. It's completely legal. As a matter of fact, a lot of nonprofits, they are just in the business of fiscal sponsorships because they charge a fee. Organizations do not serve as fiscal sponsors. I'm sorry, I'm almost tongue-tied. As fiscal sponsors for free. There is a fee. So like I said, some organizations set themselves up just for that purpose, just for that money-making purpose, but their job is to govern the operations of the organizations in which they serve as fiscal sponsors. So it's a very serious thing to do when you decide to serve as a fiscal sponsor. But getting back to this organization, Black Trans Media does not have its own 501c3 nonprofit status. Okay? So only 2 have their 501c3 status so far. I'm sorry, only 1 so far has its own 501c3 status. The other 2 are operating under a fiscal sponsorship. So I'm going to pause my screen once again so we can go to the next organization. So this would be the 4th of 5th organization that we're talking about, number 4 of 5, okay? So the next organization that we're going to talk about, the fourth of 5 that we're talking about in this series, is called the House of Pentacles. Now, the House of Pentacles does not have a website. So I had to use I'm sorry, they do have a website. I didn't find it when I searched for it. Oh, never mind. They don't have a website. I knew I did my homework before I came on, and I didn't see a website. So we'll go back to their Facebook page. They have a website link, but it doesn't work. There's no website attached. Nevertheless, let's come back. House of Pentacles, or HOP, is a film training program and production house that launches Black trends, and I would imagine that's supposed to mean youth. So let's just go to the about and see if we can find more information. Not very much. Okay, I don't see very much about this organization, House of Pentacles, but they received a 6-figure donation from the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation. So that's concerning. Not much information. They have 615 likes and 657 followers on their Facebook page. And okay. Well, clearly this one does not have 501c3 nonprofit status. So this is number 4 of the 5 organizations that we're looking at today. And this one apparently doesn't have any 501c3 status at all, and not much information about the organization itself. Okay, so I'm going to pause the screen for one more time. For another time, I think I have another time coming up after this to pause the screen. And look at the final one that we're going to examine today. And this organization, the last number 5 of 5 for today, is called House of Tulip. House of Tulip. House of Tulip provides zero-barrier housing, case management, linkage to care, and community programming to trans and gender nonconforming people in need of a safe place to stay while growing the supply of affordable housing in New Orleans. Okay? So that's what this organization is about. Their website is very nice. House of Tulip is a nonprofit collective creating housing solutions for TGNC people in Louisiana. Okay, so I'm just scrolling through. Like I said, I like the layout of the nonprofit website. So let's see if they have an earned 501c3 nonprofit status. I'm looking for a donate button. I don't see a donate button, but I'm going to scroll down. And I think I saw something about it. Okay, invest in our vision. So I'm going to click on make a financial contribution. Oh, here's a make a donation button. Did y'all see that? I didn't see it at first. So let me click on make a donation. Oh, it takes me right here anyway. Invest in trans lives. Invest in trans leadership. Ready to make a long-term investment? Become a sustaining donor today. If you aren't able to give monthly at this time, that's okay too. You can use the form below to make a one-time donation. Okay, so here's the form. Okay, now over here, it says other ways to donate: Cash App, Venmo, PayPal, by check, House of Tulip, care of Mariah Moore. Address is given. Make check out to House of Tulip. And then look, House of Tulip is an IRS designated 501c3 public charity nonprofit. Our EIN is 851376745. Your contributions are tax deductible. That's very good. This is what everyone should include on the donate page, their EIN, because it makes it easy for potential investors to verify their claims of being a 501c3 nonprofit. So I'm going to take a moment and do just that. So I'm going to pause my screen. We've looked at the House of Tulip, and it's in New Orleans. We talked about what they stand for and whether or not they have 501c3 status. The answer is yes, according to them. So I'm going to pause my screen just for a moment to get to the place I need to be in order to verify their claim of having 501c3 nonprofit status. Okay? And I'm going to walk you through, I'm going to demonstrate exactly how I'm going to do that. So here I am on the irs.gov website. In order to verify whether an organization has tax-exempt status, you click on Charities and Nonprofits, scroll down, Tax-exempt organization search, click Search Organizations, scroll down, Tax-exempt organization search tool, click on it, scroll down, the tax-exempt organization search tool, search for tax-exempt organizations, click. Now, they provided an EIN and I wrote it down, 85-137-6745. Search. And here we are. Here we are, the House of Tulip. Just like they said, they have 501c3 nonprofit status. Very good. If I click on House of Tulip, and I scroll down, okay, they are listed House of Tulip, their EIN, employer identification number means EIN, New Orleans, Louisiana. Publication 78 proves that they have a deductibility code of PC, which means a public charity, just like they said, right? Honest, honest, honest. And then we can see the determination letter. A favorable determination letter is issued by the IRS if an organization meets the requirements for tax-exempt status under the code section the organization applied. So they earned 501c3 status. That means they were approved, and this is their letter stating that. So I'm going to open up their letter. I'm going to increase the size of the letter so that we can see when they earned their status. So, their effective date of exemption was June 10th, 2020. Uh-oh. I don't see a Form 990 information return in their record. So they're almost about to miss. You cannot miss filing a Form 990 information return for 3 consecutive years, or you will automatically be revoked by the IRS. So they have until December the 31st to get in a Form 990 information return, and I hope they do that so that they don't risk losing their status. But I don't see, I'm going to go back. I'm going to pause the screen just for a second and go back to their information. Okay. So I'm back on their screen for the information, and I'm just going to show you where you would have seen it. Had they filed a Form 990 information return, you would have seen a button over here that has Form 990 on it. You see Publication 78 data, determination letters. There would have been a form or a button called Form 990. And you could have clicked on it and you would have seen the Form 990 information return, which would have shown their revenues and expenses for the certain years that they filed a Form 990. And I don't see that, so that tells me they haven't filed yet. Another place you would have seen it would have been here. You see Publication 78 data, determination letter data, information. There would have been a whole nother section that would have been entitled Form 990 information returns, and it's not here. So I'm going to be concerned about that. I hope they get it in time and not lose their status. Okay, I diverted off of the subject for just a moment just to show you that. I'm going to pause sharing just for a second, and we're going to wrap it up. Okay? Thank you for your patience. Like I always say, I don't have people working behind the scenes, managing these slides and these screens and these websites for me. I have to manually do it myself, but that's okay. As long as we're getting the information, right? So that's what I want you to have. I'm on a mission to make sure that we hold people accountable. You're talking about $90 million that could have done a lot of good in Black neighborhoods through Black-led nonprofit organizations that we don't know where it is. So we're back to this page where I started out. And just to wrap things up, this is what we've already learned. Part 1 of 6, part 2 of 6, part 3 of 6, part 4 of 6, and we finished up talking about part 5 of 6 today. The Trans Justice Funding Project, the Trans Housing Coalition, Homeless Black Trans Women Fund, Black Trans Media, House of Pentacles, and House of Tulip. The House of Tulip was the only organization that provided their EIN on their donate page, and I verified that their EIN is accurate, and they do in fact have an earned 501c3 nonprofit status. Very good. Next, in the part 6 of 6 in the series, we'll talk about Black Trans Films in the Arts, Brave Space Alliance, Black Visions Collective, Brooklyn Boyhood, and BYP 100. That would be the 6th part of a 6-part series. So, the source of this information, the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation's 2020 Impact Report, includes the information regarding the $21.7 million investment in the LGBTQIA organizations. So I'm going to click on this link so that you can see where I got this information, because I like to be held accountable too for the information that I share. So now we're on the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation's homepage. And I really hate that the organization was allowed to add back the donate button. You remember during the investigations in 2020 and 2021 and 2022, they were required to remove the donate button until they could give an account of where the money went. I still don't see that accounting yet, but somebody gave them permission to add it back. So now they are in the process of receiving donations again for whatever reason, I don't know. But I want to show you where you can find and read the 2020 Impact Fund report. So Impact report. So I'm going to click on resources, and then to scroll down to 2020 Impact Report. And this is the report that they provided in 2020 after the heat was on for transparency. They threw something together, Patrice Khan Cullors, because she was the only one in charge at that time. She put something together to try to diffuse the heat that she felt about the lack of transparency and accountability. So this is what they put together. If you click on it, I'm going to scroll down just a few pages to let you see what it's about. 2020. Now, this is from 3 years ago, so we don't know what's going on now, really. So the table of contents, Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation talks about that. The Black Lives Matter Political Action Committee, a BLM PAC, and the Black Lives Matter Grassroots. So I'm not going to go through all of that. You can go and pull it up if you like, but I'm just going to go to page 22. And that's where I got this information from. So I just wanted you to see that this is where this information comes from. Okay. So again, I'm Susan Woods of Susan Woods Nonprofit Solutions, and I am your Black Lives Matter Fraud Investigator. I've been on the case since June of 2020. 3 years I've been investigating this organization. Every chance I get, I investigate this organization and post videos. I wish that I had the time to investigate it more frequently, but I just don't. But every chance I get, I promise you that this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to investigate, because I cannot give up. I cannot quit. I cannot stop, because it's so important for us to get answers. And I know this is old news. I mean, I can look at the number of people who view these videos now. When I first started 3 years ago, it would be in the thousands. I would get 1,000 views on the videos. Now, if I make 300, I'm lucky. And that's okay. Because I know it's like, just forget about it, Susan. I mean, the $90 million is clearly gone. They used it on their mansions. They used it on, giving money away just like it belonged to them. So it's gone. But I cannot give up, because like I mentioned to you before, I operated a 501c3 nonprofit organization for 10 years. And I can remember how much we begged for money, not because we weren't offering a good service, but it's just so competitive in the grassroots nonprofit sector to get money. You're not competing to provide a service, you're competing for money to provide the service. And I just can remember wondering how we were going to make it so many times. So it just makes me so angry when I think about $90 million that people gave to the Black Lives Matter Global Network Foundation, thinking that it would help Black people, and it didn't. That's why I'm going to continue to investigate this. That's why I'm going to continue raising my hand, asking, where is the money? Thank you, and have a great day.